coverage needs are, we're sure to have a plan that's right for you. Call Florida Health Connector and we'll help you cut through all the fuss. Call 850-249-1010 today.
Are you hungry for authentic Mexican cuisine? Then come to El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, where we serve up the freshest, most flavorful dishes on the beach. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, a great location, comfortable atmosphere, and happy hour from 3 to 7. Buy one, get one free, regular margaritas and 12-ounce house drafts. And you're going to love their lunch specials, Monday through Friday from 11 to 3. Plus, live music Wednesdays and Saturdays starting at 5:30. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, Thomas Drive, across from the Navy base.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. That's 800-708-3092.
Stay high on life. Not on the road. Driving high will get you a DUI, and it could mean costly deductibles, higher insurance rates, jail time, and potentially your life. Don't put yourself and fellow drivers at risk.
This message is sponsored by the Florida Department of Transportation, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's the next evolution of sports talk radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now we're taking...
With the first pick.
This is the last ball you gotta bat.
The Inside Drive. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back, or welcome. It is Friday. You're listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 here in Panama City Beach, Parker, Callaway, Lynn Haven, Southport, St. Andrews, Millville, Springfield, Tyndall Air Force Base, all those wonderful communities right around here in Bay County. Also, big shout out to 101.9 down there in Port St. Joe along the beautiful Forgotten Coast. You can also watch, like, listen, comment, subscribe, share, follow, all those wonderful things. That is Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Just search it up, ESPN Northwest Florida. If you already give us a follow, we appreciate you very, very much. You can also download the free mobile app. Where, Mr. Jay Henley?
Google Play or Apple Store.
Apple Store. Great to hear your voice in studio, my friend.
You.
What do you got to search up in those stores there?
104.3, and that is all you
That's all you need.
That's it.
Just a little 104.3.
Yep.
It shows up right there on the first page of search results. I love it. And you got to have that mobile app, as we are your home for the Auburn Tigers, the Mosley Dolphins, and, of course, the official station of the Atlanta Braves here on the Gulf Coast. And they got a big next 5 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days coming up.
Ricky Hill.
We're going to go over that schedule here momentarily. But want to give everybody, obviously thoughts and prayers with everybody in that Big Bend area. And, of course, going all the way up through Georgia, Valdosta, even the Augusta area, the Atlanta area. Helene packed some punch going all the way up through. Of course, we were very blessed and lucky over here in Panama City Beach. And even, I think, Tallahassee was looking bad there for a while and then kind of made that easterly shift. So hopefully Tallahassee's doing okay as well. but, I know you had some family there in South Georgia that were facing some pretty significant winds for a long time, but luckily everybody is okay.
From what I know so far, but got a lot of family and friends that live about 20 miles north of Valdosta. Did get some reports of a lot of oak trees down, and it's rough, man. It is rough. I mean, these storms, we were talking about it before the show, these storms just are continuously moving inward.
Yeah.
And typically it used to be a coastline deal, and it's not a coastline thing anymore.
Absolutely, especially this time of year. I mean, the end of September, early October is kind of the season of hurricanes that you've really got to pay the most attention to. And that's why, we wanted to make sure we kept everybody updated throughout the process, and some of our local meteorologists do a fantastic job keeping everybody updated. But here we are, Friday, on the other side of the storm. Again, thoughts and prayers to everybody that was affected to our east. I know there was a plethora of people coming to help. So, So great. Always great to see that. And sometimes you come out on the other side, storm, come out maybe a little bit better.
Well, and that's the thing. I went for a little morning walk this morning, man, and it was like, wow, what a storm just brings some fresh air. I don't know. Yeah. It was amazing.
Absolutely. Kind of sucks a lot of that moisture.
It does,
But hey, we are not done with the tropic season yet by any stretch of the imagination. Still a few more months left in the official hurricane season. And I know there's a little disturbance out there somewhere that may form, but hey, all you got to do is pay close attention. And, this was maybe a good test run for everybody to get back in the swing of things. If you weren't prepared, if you didn't have your kits, your water, your generators, if you do plan to stay during some of these events, that's one of those things where you got to be prepared for long power outages and those kind of things. So, hopefully that maybe was a wake up call here for a lot of people that were looking to be ready for future events.
I'm going to try not to look at this next one potentially. I'm going to try to take one day at a time. I had my eye on this one for 10 days.
That's the thing, too. Like, there's so much stuff that circulates out there in social media and all that. And you know what? Probably 90% of that is not actually factual stuff.
Right.
It's the 10% that you got to cloud out all the stuff that is... unfortunately, when you have these situations, there's people, there's social media accounts that are, just trying to monetize, just trying to make money, and they'll say whatever they can say to get sponsors, to get more followers and all that stuff. But that's why if you know the right ones to follow and the right ones to listen to, that can save yourself either a lot of heartache or actually be prepared for an event.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. You just got to watch what you see on the internet. I mean, I saw something the other day where they said something about the Giants going to the Super Bowl.
Wow. That's almost that's a little crazier. That's a little crazier. They hung in a little bit last night, but field goals are not going to do it typically in most games. That's for sure. Yeah. But I will say Dallas didn't look quite great either.
Right.
But some injuries too came out late in that game. But let's talk about your Atlanta Braves here real quick. Obviously, they won the first game in the pivotal series against the New York Metropolitans a couple days ago. But yesterday's game and the Wednesday game both postponed to a doubleheader coming up on Monday, Jay, which may or may not could be a doubleheader in one game to determine whether they make the playoffs or not.
Wow.
The current standings, the Mets and the Diamondbacks are both a game ahead of the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves start a 3-game series tonight against the Kansas City Royals. Max Fried will get the start tonight. That is going to be 6:20 right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, as that Mosley football game did get postponed until Monday. Also, Saturday, that's another 6:20 first pitch here in the Central Time Zone. No pitcher determined yet for that one. Same thing with Sunday. That is an afternoon game, little 3:20 start. Hey, if the Braves can sweep that one out, they may be able to put themselves in a good position to maybe not have to win both of those games against the Mets on Monday. But hey, it is coming down to the wire.
Monday Night Football in Bay County.
Yeah, Monday Night Football. Well, it's not in Bay County because it's over there in Milton.
Oh, okay.
But a Bay County team is playing Monday Night Football. In addition to 2 Monday Night Football games.
Shoo, man.
And 2 Braves games.
Hey, Monday's going to be a good day.
Monday is a game chock, or a day chock full of all sorts of games. But yeah, a lot of the division winners have already been determined. We talked about it a little bit earlier this week, but I believe the Yankees clinched their division yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check on that one before I'm telling you information. The Yankees did clinch the AL East yesterday. The Baltimore Orioles have clinched a wild card playoff spot. The Cleveland Guardians have also clinched their division, as well as the Houston Astros in the AL West. The Phillies clinched in the NL East. The Brewers have clinched in the Central, and the Dodgers have clinched in the West. So as far as our pick'em is concerned with the division winners, let's see. I don't believe you got any, Jay. David got 3, and I got 2. So a little 30 spot for him, 20 spot for me. But 3 out of 6 isn't really bad. I got 2 out of 6, not bad. Hopefully the NFL divisional pick'em's going to be a little nicer to the both of us. But yeah. So San Diego Padres have clinched a wild card spot as well. So I believe we are battling it out. The Tigers, the Royals, they're battling it out there on the AL side, but they have a 3-game lead against the Twins and the Mariners. So probably looking like that's going to lock in with the Twins or the Tigers and the Royals clinching the last 2 wild card spots in the AL. And then, of course, the NL, what we're talking about, the New York Mets, the Diamondbacks, and the Braves, all within 1 game of each other, but there's only 2 spots available. So, hey, we'll see what happens, but a lot of Braves action coming up, and it could be the end of the season, or it might not be.
Yes, sir.
But we're hoping it's not, because we want to see some October baseball for the Bravos.
Halloween is so close, man.
It's really close. What are you going to be this year?
I don't know. I always think about it and never do it.
Yeah.
But
think about it this year and do it.
What are you going to do?
It's always a surprise. Beth conjures up some costume for me and her, and we kind of go there. I think this is the first year, though. I don't know if it's the first year, maybe the second year, that the kids are not doing a pair costume. They've always done, Corella and a Dalmatian. They've done Bert and Mary Pop. Beth's done a wonderful job doing really elaborate, cool paired costumes. But now we got a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old, so the dressing in a pair isn't as appealing as it was.
Well, I'm trying to think of a good couple y'all could go with this year, because you've been Cousin Eddie before, right?
Yeah, that wasn't on Halloween though. That was at a Christmas party.
Oh,
because it's a Christmas.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always a good one. But when she was, this is bad, but when she was pregnant with Ryan, she went as a nun and I went as Jesus. Maybe a little blasphemy, but I don't know. It was all in fun. And the funnier part of that particular story is we were living at the golf course I worked at, and we got invited to a Halloween party, and it was at one of the members' house. A bunch of members were going, and it turns out it wasn't a costume party.
Oh my gosh!
Which who doesn't have a costume party on Halloween?
Yeah, no kidding.
But anyway, it was slightly awkward, but all good.
Yeah,
but all good.
Yeah,
we're a lot younger than everybody too, but
that's right.
It's all good. It's all good. Jay, how did the match go on? It's been a while. It was Tuesday, right? The Arnold Marlins. 18-hole big match out there at Bay Point.
Yes, Arnold Marlins. Go Arnold Marlins.
There you go.
Oh my goodness,
it's hard to say fast.
Go Arnold Marlins. Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah,
Arnold Marlins.
We had a match out at Bay Point. It was 18 holes, 309. Ryan Mulvey, 309. Now, if
even par is 288.
Even par is 288.
That's 21 over. That's pretty solid.
I feel like that is state qualifying.
I think sub 320 is definitely state qualifying numbers. If you can do that in the district or the regionals, yeah, absolutely.
Now, our golf team, I figured out we don't travel well.
I've noticed that.
We don't travel well. Now, we did take the trip up to Athens, played some really fun golf up in Athens this past weekend. Hopefully that kind of gets the guys a little bit more of a visual, not being so visually intimidated, right? I think golf is that way, where you get visually intimidated because you don't know what's ahead if you haven't played the golf course. But yeah, we'll see, man. I there's some big things coming. If we did come up with a thing over the weekend where if we do make it to state, there is a huge trip in the makings, if you will.
A little reward trip.
And
you just got to make it, right? Just got to make it. Just got to make it to Howie at the Hills.
Because, look, I mean, we only are losing one senior on that golf team for next year. That's Gavin Plunkett. He's going to be moving on.
Gotcha.
But everyone else is staying. And we've got some ninth graders that aren't playing in matches that can really hit the golf ball. It's super exciting.
Building the dynasty over there in the future.
Not,
yes, you are.
Well, I mean, they're coming, and I'm just trying to make things happen.
But you're also one of the best instructors in the Panhandle, and that's bleeding through some of these golf teams as well.
Well, I appreciate it, Ryan, but I don't know about that sometimes.
I only speak the truth. I only speak the truth. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But yeah, I mean, and getting back to it's kind of that home course syndrome, right? You see it with members at golf clubs that play really good on their home courses, but when they go somewhere else, it's because whether you like it or not, people's mentality like, oh, I play this hole good, I play this hole good, or I play this hole bad, I play this hole good, and that weighs in on how you react with your golf swing. Yeah, the home course syndrome is a real thing. That's why I always, if you have if you're a member at a club, like I've worked at a few 36-hole facilities, I've even worked at a 54-hole facility, and you seem your members' games seem to travel better because you're playing different courses. That's right. It's easy to get comfortable on a golf course. Yeah, and you see that quite often.
Well, and how do you work with adversity, right? Because we've had some matches this fall, and I know we're in the middle of college football, and there's many other things to talk about right now. But the adversity part, where the range has been closed for our guys, and that kind of blows up their afternoon. Yeah. And we've just, and I know they're young, but we've just got to learn to adapt and, figure that out. But that's been another issue where the range has been closed and we just haven't been able to adapt to that either. But anyways,
no doubt.
That's my thoughts on that. It's been fun. It has been a fun year.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Absolutely. Well, you guys are competing and out there and having fun. And hey, if adversity isn't part of the game of golf, I don't know what is.
I know, and look, I've got it. You've got these guys that play their part as a team. You've got the kid that kind of makes the jokes. You got the kid that's serious. You got the kid that's there to have fun. I mean, it's such a dynamic. It's really cool to watch. Yeah, really cool to watch.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Speaking of golf, it kind of snuck by me that it started yesterday, and maybe that's because for me the Ryder Cup is just the pinnacle of team competition. The President's Cup's great too, but it did start yesterday, and the United States just got out to a monster lead, as they typically seem to do in the President's Cup. They are up 5-0 after these Thursday 4-ball sessions. Tony Finau and Xander Schauffele beat Byung-Hung An and Jason Day 1-up. Morikawa and Thegala beat Minwoo Lee and Adam Scott 1-up. Your boy Cousin Russell and Scotty Scheffler 3-2 over Sanjay In and Tom Kim. Keegan Bradley, who got the President's Cup nod, and Wyndham Clark won 1-up over Christian Bisenhut and Taylor Pendrith. And last but not least, you had Sam Burns and Patrick Cantlay beat Corey Connors and Hideki Matsuyama 2-1. There was a little bit of excitement, though, yesterday. Again, I wasn't watching it. Then it had to do in the Scheffler, Henley, and Tom Kim, and the match he was playing in. He was playing with Sanjay Im. And it happened, I believe, after the 8th hole, where Sanjay Im and Tom Kim walked all the way to the next tee box, 80 yards away, before Scotty Scheffler went to hit his putt. And Scotty went on and made that putt, and then yelled to the crowd, "What was that?" He bellowed that in the direction of the playing partners, Tom Kim and Sanjay Im. So what do you think that's just a little showmanship there, trying to throw him off the game for that? Or what do you think about this situation? Obviously, Scheffler and Henley were not happy with that particular move that they made. Typically, you want to watch. If you're slow, you want to watch next, but usually you don't go and not watch.
Was that to win the hole? Do we know? Or was that to have the hole? Or
I don't know that. I can find that out, though, while you're digressing.
I guess
here.
That would kind of make it a little bit more interesting.
Number 8. No, maybe it wasn't 8, because Tom Kim, they won that hole with a birdie.
Oh.
I don't know. It may not have been hole 8. I'm just trying to remember. But they did have an incident while they walked off real far. Let's see. I'm trying to find out what it is.
So with this being in Montreal, is this a home course? Is this the United States versus the world, or is this North America versus the world?
It's always the U.S., whether it's the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup. But the President's Cup is the internationals. It's basically anyone but Europe, whereas Europe is specifically the Ryder Cup.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to see what hole it was on. Scheffler looked at the audience and screamed. Oh, but anyway, just some interesting etiquette there from the President's Cup. But it continues on today with the. Let me look at the schedule here. What they got.
That's
going
not good golf etiquette, in my opinion. To walk 80 yards away to what? Yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah,
that is.
And Tom Kim's a well liked guy on the PGA Tour, but. I don't know. Foursomes coming up today. Foursomes mean alternate shot. That is a true alternate shot where you tee off every other hole, or you tee off odds and evens every other hole, and you play it all the way through. It starts today at 12:05 Central Time. That's Cantley and Schauffele versus Matsuyama and Im. Sahith Theegala, Colin Morikawa versus Scott and Pendrith. Homa and Harmon. Homa and Harmon getting some action in some Friday matches here versus Christian Bisenhout and Jason Day. Wyndham Clark and Tony Finau. Finau coming out for the first time versus Corey Connors and Mackenzie Hughes. And then the anchor match today, a rematch of the controversial match yesterday. Scotty Scheffler and Cousin Russell versus Siwoo Kim and Byung-Hun An. So it is not a rematch. I apologize. Byung-Hun An was in there, but Tom Kim was the other gentleman in that group yesterday who doesn't look like he's playing in the Friday foursomes. So that is all broadcast there. I don't know what channel it's on, but it looks like it's on the Golf Channel. And then tomorrow will be on NBC, and Sunday the singles matches will be on NBC. But big hole already for the national team there in the President's Cup, which definitely snuck up on me. All of a sudden it was happening. I was like, what? Well, we were paying attention to a lot of other stuff this week as well. So
now, is the President Cup, is that like for the President of the United States? Or
usually there's a president there, but I don't know what. There's probably some information on how the President's Cup got its name.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, the little bit that I know that, George Bush's grandfather started the Walker Cup. Yeah. Herbert Bush Walker. So anyways, I guess golf and presidents, that's kind of the deal.
Hey, absolutely. The game for everybody. No doubt about that. I was gonna get a tip of the week from you today, but I think we kind of covered it because we only got about 30 seconds left in this segment. We got to get Joe Bond on the line here in the next segment as we prepare you for, obviously there was a game last night, but the bulk of the action will start on Sunday for your fantasy action. We'll talk about some usage reports, we may have given some live start sits. I got a couple questions on some decisions I should make. So you know what? When we got an expert on, might as well take advantage of it. But you guys are listening to The Inside Drive. It is Friday. We will be right back with Joe Bond. He is the founder of Fantasy Six Pack.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for the NFL.
Touchdown, Denver!
We bring you the biggest games every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night.
Oh, he's got the first down!
Plus, we'll broadcast more college football games than ever before.
He did what?
Live NFL and college football play here.
Unbelievable!
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Sunny this afternoon and evening with a wind out of the west-southwest at 18 miles per hour and the high of 82. Tonight, look for a gentle breeze and clear skies with a temperature near 75. Tomorrow, a high around 85 and mostly sunshine. Sunday, very warm with a high of 85 and sunshine. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hi folks, it's Tracy with Tracy's Fine Jewelry and Coin and Bullion Reserves. Did you know that we do more than just sell some of the finest jewelry in town? We can engrave on your wedding band, locket, Yeti cup, or almost anything. Need your watch battery changed? We can do that too. Our expert will even evaluate your coin collection. And of course, we always pay top dollar for your old gold and silver jewelry. See, there's a lot more to Tracy's Fine Jewelry than a lot of pretty sparkly things. Come and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Dak Cajun Place is your LSU and Saints football headquarters. Saints and LSU fans, wear your team colors and score a free Jell-O shot when your team scores a touchdown. Only at Dak Cajun Place. Get $5 pitchers on select draft beers during all live football games. Catch all the games at once with the NFL package on 27 large TVs at Dak Cajun Place. And the best wings on the beach. The locals' favorite, Dak Cajun Place.
The Locals love him.
You're gonna love this. You are my favorite. It's my favorite.
Everybody's favorite. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. It's Friday. It's 11:20. It's our new regular Joe Bond, the founder of Fantasy Six Pack, on the line with us. You can give us a text, too, if you got any questions, or on Facebook as well. Just comment, as I know everybody's getting ready for a week 4, and it's been a wild ride thus far in the NFL season, especially in regards to fantasy. Joe, you doing all right today?
Hanging in there, man. Trying to get through all these injuries. We got hit hard the first couple weeks. Now it's tight ends already doing bad. Now we're dealing with injuries. So,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, no doubt. A couple more injuries coming out of yesterday's game as well. I believe Malik Neighbors left the game in the fourth quarter with a concussion. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Micah Parsons was taken out late in that game as well. That doesn't impact your fantasy too much, other than, if you have the quarterback running back on the other side of that matchup. But, yeah, injury late. And I even heard CMC is back from Germany. He's going to be out a couple more months. Keith was telling us something. I forget the gentleman who he said something about it, but there's been some retirement talk surrounding Christian McCaffrey, which that's probably just pure rumor, but it may not be either. I don't know. So,
it's a nightmare.
Crazy stuff.
It really is.
Crazy stuff. We got millions of people relying on this guy. I mean, we're selfish. I have him. I love him just from the fact that I don't think we go to the Super Bowl without him last year. But
you have to burn your T-shirt. Run CMC?
I'm not going to burn it because he's decided to put himself over, everybody else. That's not fair. But the reality is, a lot of people took that put money into their fantasy leagues, and they drafted McCaffrey number 1. And gosh darn it, if the Madden curse isn't real, I don't know what is. That is for certain.
It had been pretty decent the last few years, and this one came back with a vengeance. This is brutal.
No doubt. And I was downplaying it because obviously a big Niners fan, big McCaffrey fan. I was downplaying it once they put him on the cover. Oh, he'll be fine. It's not real. Well, here we are going into week 4 of the NFL, and a couple more months he's going to be out. I don't think we're going to see him when we head down to Tampa here in a few months. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's not super official, but it's looking grim.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
not good at all. But let's pivot off of McCaffrey and let's talk about, obviously usage is one of the things that you use as a metric to really find out some of these guys who you need to be targeting in fantasy or starting in fantasy. I know we haven't dove into that yet with your segment, but we're going to dive into it this morning.
Yeah, so like you said, I write the article over on Fantasy Six Pack every week. I try to get it out Tuesdays, to kind of help you make those waiver wire decisions. And, one of the big things that people were wondering last week, and myself included, was how this Kansas City Chiefs backfield was going to play out without Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah.
And, what we saw was Carson Steele, as to be somewhat expected, was the guy, right? He got 46 snaps in comparison to Samaje Perine's 26. He got 17 carries to 6. You would have thought that Perine was going to get a lot more targets and things like that, but I actually only saw one more. Carson Steele 3-2. And then the big thing, right, is Carson Steele was used within the 5-yard line. Saw 2 carries inside the 5-yard line. That's massive for your fantasy production there and potential, right? And so you like to see that going forward with him. And in the short term, I think we're going to see more of that. What muddles the situation there in Kansas City is, of course, we're going to get Kareem Hunt elevated from the practice squad this week. It'll be interesting again to see how that changes things. And then next week, we have the possibility of CEH coming off IR. So now we're talking, 4 potential guys there. I still think we're going to get a little bit more, Mahomes chucking the ball. We didn't get Kelsey involved as much as I was thinking we would.
I was going to ask you about that situation and what your thoughts on. I know. Obviously, the Chiefs are 3-0. Mahomes, he's got 5 touchdowns, but he's also got 4 interceptions as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like he's tearing it up out there. But at the end of the day, all that matters is what's on that win column in your scoreboard. But Travis Kelce, kind of, maybe right up there. Obviously, CMC is out, so that's super disappointing. But if you took Kelce maybe second round, thinking, he's going to really get a lot of production. Does that production start to kick up anytime soon, or is he just being used more as a decoy right now?
There's a quote that came out of last game from Mahomes himself, and he said, this is paraphrasing it a little bit, but we're calling a lot of plays for Travis Kelce, but he's getting double and even triple teamed. Yeah. So I think right now you're just seeing these defenses really hone in on Kelce, knowing that he's been the guy there for what feels like forever.
Yeah,
so we're getting a lot of that, and so it's opening the door for Rashee Rice to have these plays. We even saw Juju Smith-Schuster score. Come on. Eventually they're going to have to funnel the defense to somebody else. They're going to have to stop Rashee Rice. He got 14 targets last week.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
So I think once we start seeing defenses go, okay, we got to respect Rashee Rice a little bit more, right? This running game, even without Pacheco, is still productive. Right, they both had, him and P. Ryan both had a 4.3 yards per carry last game. It's pretty good.
Yeah. No doubt.
So I think once we see defense have to shift, we're going to get a little more open. Travis Kelce, with the way the tight end landscape is going this year, I feel like we're never going to get like a super stud tight end consistently, like we've had in years past. We're going to get these blow-up games like we got from Goddard and things like that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy what's going on with the tight end position. I wrote in the beginning of the article about how Dallas Goedert going into week 3 was tight end 13. After week 3, because he had a monster game, is tight end 1.
Yep.
That's how nuts. Isaiah Likely had one good game in week 1. He's still tight end 4.
Yep. It's wild.
There's just no consistency from any of these guys. And now we're getting injuries piled on top of it. It sucks. It really does.
Yeah, it's tight end, man. It seems to be the most difficult position and also too, I mean, in your leagues, you can usually put them in your flex spot for the most part, but it's too risky to do that. And then you're deciding, I'm going to ask you some selfish questions here in a few minutes. But you're starting to tie it. Like you said, one week the guy's blowing up, the next week he does nothing, and that's that's the most frustrating thing as a fantasy football owner or team owner, whatever you want to call it, is when you leave a guy like Cole Kmet on the bench last week and he absolutely goes off, and there's no rhyme or reason for it.
It's tough. So
that was me, by the way.
Oh yeah, a lot of people did the same thing, I'm sure. One other situation I want to touch on here is the Chicago Bears running backs.
Yes.
Also,
yes.
So DeAndre Swift has been miserable this season, and not all his fault. The offensive line is bad. I mean, there's that picture rolling around Twitter and social media, wherever, at the last play of the game there, where all the offensive linemen are on the ground and 6 Indianapolis Colts are chasing DeAndre Swift for a 7-yard loss. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's not typical, but that kind of states how bad this is for the Bears. And we've seen it with Caleb Williams, just being pressured and just always running for his life, it feels like, back there. But what we saw was Roschon Johnson active and getting a lot of plays. So DeAndre Swift had 44 snaps, but Roschon Johnson had 32. That is something to pay attention to. Khalil Herbert only had 8. So last year, we saw Johnson healthy and active and not really getting utilized, and Khalil Herbert was always the guy ahead of him. Now we're seeing this first game with Johnson available, quadruples the amount of usage there. Yeah. He got 8 carries to DeAndre Swift's 13, so Swift was still utilized more, but we're getting the coaching staff, and, look, it could be coach speak, maybe we don't, totally believe it, but the coaching staff has come out and said, we're going to have to give Roschon Johnson more work. They've got to try something different. The running game is bad. So if he is at all out there in your league still, I would absolutely go and grab him. There's no reason why he should be available. I mean, 22%. He's rostered in 22% of Yahoo leagues. He needs to be rostered in more. Like, people are dying at running back position for their leagues. Like, we've already talked about CMC, but Joe Mixon's still out.
Yep.
We've got Rashad White possibly, or Bucky Irving, who's another guy who was like a popular ad this week. He might be out. We're just
Trey McBride was just ruled out with a concussion.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. He's out. Evan Gingram is likely out again. So yeah, the tight end position is getting hammered. But the running backs, again, we're dealing with most are still out. There's just a lot of guys that are not healthy right now. Eckler's out. Not that you were really utilizing him, but I mean, Kenneth Walker. Those types of guys are out, so people are desperate at running back. I'm shocked to see Roschon Johnson's roster percentage still at 22%.
Yeah.
I know people that dropped 20% of their fab budget, free agent acquisition budget money on him, and for good reason. Like, if he's going to... People were doing it for Carson Steele last week. Why not do it for Roschon Johnson? Like, he's a talented guy. The Bears just, for some reason, have never really tried to use him as much as they probably should. So that was one interesting situation. And then the last one I kind of want to touch on is this Ravens pass offense.
Yes.
And my goodness, we're talking about tight ends. The usage for Mark Andrews is just, like, I want to beat my head against the wall. Like, he's only on the field for 20 snaps. He only ran 6 routes. 6. I know they ran the ball a ton last game. 6 routes. He ran less routes than Isaiah Likely. I mean, he gave you a goose egg. It's crazy what is happening there. You legit can't start Mark Andrews right now.
No.
Like,
you would have. I mean, if you had to choose between one or the other, you'd have to start Likely over Andrews.
I don't want to start either one of them, honestly.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Call me crazy. I'm starting Zach Ertz over Mark Andrews right now.
No, that's not crazy at all.
He's at least getting thrown the ball.
Because it's all about targets and volume, right?
It is. And the least is that it's not been great. I would say maybe the ceiling for Andrews is higher if he's going to get targeted a little bit more, but he's just not. Like, we're not seeing it from him.
No.
We had one blow-up game from Likely. Other than that, they've been pretty much duds. This is not good over there. So, I kind of called this earlier before the season started. The team's going to be super run heavy. It's going to be game script dependent, of course. So, we saw that in game 1, right, where they were behind and they were having to pass a lot, and that's the game that Likely blew up in. And Zay Flowers got a lot of work too. But you still saw them run the ball. Lamar's going to get his.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the game when it's still close, Derrick Henry is going to get, just pound the rock, and especially if they get in the red zone early, he's going to score. I mean, that's pretty much that is going to happen every time.
Well, and they run they're probably, as far as every team in the NFL, they're probably the closest to a true RPO being ran. When you have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, I mean, you can just live on the run and the pull option, not necessarily even the pass. And, with Lamar being such a good runner, like you said, their scheme has just been super run heavy, tight ends coming in to help block, pull, all that stuff. And I almost, if you have a Ravens pass or receiver or tight end, you almost, and I hate to say it, but stay away from them. There's almost altogether until they start showing you something different.
Yeah, and I put a little bit of stats for the tight end in my article, just kind of surface level stuff. I didn't really dig too deep into it, but I got to give a little shout out to Nathan Janke on Twitter. He put this whole thread together of all these tight end stats and like kind of why it's down this year. Just the different usage we're seeing from all these teams, and how even in 12 personnel, which is when you're using 2 tight ends, just they're not running out the one guy that we think they're supposed to be running out, like a Mark Andrews.
Yep.
It's like the other guy. It's like, but multiple teams are doing this, and so we're able to rely on less of these tight ends than we thought we would, and that's why it's happening. It's a great thread if you are on Twitter and you can find Nathan Janke. I highly suggest reading that. It's great information.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, we're going to ask you a couple selfish start-sit questions for both of our rosters, me and Jay as well. I was going to ask you about Kmet, but with McBride being out now, it's a moot point. But do we, with my flex position, I still have Juwan Jennings. I know Kittle and Debo were back practicing. Are they going to start? I think Kittle starts, but I feel like if Kittle gets nicked up just a little bit with that hamstring, he's probably coming out of the game. So I've got, here's my question for you. Do I go Rachaad White? I also have Bucky Irving too, but he's banged up a little bit. Or do I go Juwan Jennings in that flex position?
And this is PPR, correct?
Yeah, full PPR, yep.
Right now I'm leaning Jennings.
That's what I got in there right now.
You like the connection.
Yeah.
You like the connection he's got there. Rachaad White's been, bad. He's getting volume, but he's been bad.
He's just not. He's not getting it. Bucky's breaking off more runs than he is.
He is. So I like Jennings more now. Of course, that will change drastically if Debo is healthy.
Of course.
If Kittle is in there, they're both logging limited practices. Today will be a really a big indicator as to whether they play. So we'll have to wait for that injury report to come out. But
no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
That will change things big time.
Joe, I've got Bo Nix in as a starter, but I also have Love sitting on the bench. What do I do with that?
He's not guaranteed yet this week to play, I don't think.
Is he not?
He's not. Obviously, if Love plays, you're playing Love over Bo Nix.
Okay.
Bo Nix had an all right game, but not over Jordan Love. Jordan Love is legit. So if he plays, Jordan Love is probably near the QB1 territory for me.
I'd even throw Malik Willis over Bo Nix potentially, just based on the offensive production thus far. The Packers have won 2 games behind Malik Willis.
Yeah, that wouldn't be crazy to say at all. You're at least getting a lot of rushing yards from Malik Willis.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let me see the other one here.
What does O mean?
Out.
That means out.
Yeah, Jay, come on, man. Out.
Done.
Out. That means you need to take that person off your active roster. 100% there. No doubt. Man, my rosters are so similar on this side. What about, I know Ladd McConkey is having an okay start to his season, kind of up and down a little bit, but do you start him over and this, I hate to even ask this, over Mike Evans, who since week 1 just seems to have taken a back seat to Chris Godwin?
No, you don't. I know it's disappointing with Mike Evans, but he's got that potential to
of course, yeah,
absolutely blow up every game. And so the way I look at it, right, is you're gonna kick yourself if Ladd McConkey outscores Mike Evans by like a few points, because that's pretty much all he's going to do. Right?
Yeah,
in that
you're
offense.
like, okay, yeah, that's fine.
You're like, all right, whatever, that sucks. I left a few points on the bench. Mike Evans goes off, you're leaving like 15 points on the bench probably. And he's playing the Eagles. The Eagles are allowing the second most points to receivers, only to the Commanders.
Yep.
So that's a prime matchup. You want to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Cool stuff. Yeah, I got him in there right now. But, Joe, our time has come to an end. Let everybody know real quick, as always, where they can find your information.
Yeah, fantasysixpack.net is where we're at. Become an all-access member to get access to my rankings. I'm top 3 so far on the season on Fantasy Pros, so looking pretty good.
Ooh,
and, of course, over on Twitter, at F6P_Joe, it's the number 6.
There you go. Make sure you obviously get some information here from Joe, but go find all his information if you want to get your best opportunity week in and week out. Joe, we appreciate you as always. Enjoy the games this weekend. We look forward to talking to you next Friday.
All right, thanks so much. Have a good one.
All right, you too. You're listening to The Inside Drive. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to go under the lights? Mosley Dolphin football is back.
Wide open down the sideline.
ESPN Northwest Florida brings you live play-by-play coverage all season long. with David Hayes.
Touchdown, Mosley Dolphins.
And Kyle Wright.
You take the top off the defense, and the interception turns into points for the Mosley offense.
Exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been your portable building specialist since 1989. Before you invest your hard-earned money someplace else, owner Jason Mulder invites you to stop by Bestway and get a quote on just about any size building. And whether you buy with Bestway or not, it's worth the trip just to meet Bestway Buddy. Say hello, buddy. Good boy. Bestway Portable Buildings, just north of Hartz Marine on 231, and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. The best in portable, period. Tell them Buddy sent ya.
All roads lead to adventures this fall in a brand new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover our Kia SUV family and get ready to forge a brand new path. Bill Bird Kia is now offering 2.49% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. It's the best family SUV with third row seating space for the entire family to unwind. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us anytime at 2435 East 15th Street or BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. Kia, movement that inspires.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2024 Kia Sorento with $1,775 per $1,000 financed at 60 months. Qualities limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for all qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 9/30/24.
Pound the like and crush the subscribe. Follow us on social media for the latest sports news, scores, and updates.
And I never get off Instagram or Facebook and think, wow, good for everyone.
Keeping you in the game. It's the Inside Drive with Ryan and Jay. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios at ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Your home for the Auburn Tigers. Big game coming up this weekend against Oklahoma. Oklahoma hosting or traveling for their first SEC game. They had their first SEC home game this past weekend. What's pretty crazy is the Auburn Tigers, I believe, are only like a 2 or 3 point underdog in this one, which I feel is surprising given I've been watching in depth those games. Just haven't seen anything I've really wanted to see yet. Obviously, they're not quite there yet. Still got a ways to go, but just surprising. And maybe that's the Jordan Hare home field action there, giving them a little better thing. But Oklahoma hasn't done fantastic yet, really, either. So big matchup on the Plains. Be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. That game kicks off at 2:30. Pregame coverage, I believe, starting at 1 p.m. as we are your home for the Auburn Tigers here in Northwest Florida.
Well, you were in the Plains this past weekend. What's the vibe?
The vibe was still fantastic. I mean, it was nuts. It was wild. It was crazy. And I think I use the word rose-colored glasses, or I think the fan base has a little bit of that. We played a really bad team and absolutely destroyed them, and then came back to reality with Cal, did the same thing with New Mexico, came back to reality with Arkansas. I mean, and they were in the game the entire time. They just, you can't turn the football over 9 times in 2 games and expect to win either one of those games. That's not how football works. You have to take care of the football, and until Auburn starts doing that, it's going to be very hard to win football games.
Well, and outside of Georgia and Texas, everybody's going to lose a few games this year. I think, and even Georgia and Texas may. I mean, I
think Texas has got the easiest route to go undefeated, in my opinion. I think Georgia's got one of the toughest schedules out there. Obviously, with the big game coming up this weekend, Georgia and Alabama. That's going to be 6:30 over there in Tuscaloosa. Currently, Georgia's a 1-point favorite. Pretty much a toss-up in that one. But if you look at the rest of Georgia's schedule, obviously they're both 3-0. They both coming off a bye week. But Georgia's got to play at Alabama. Then home versus Auburn, home versus Mississippi State. Those should be 2 easy wins. And then they gone on the road against Texas. Depending on the outcome of this Alabama game, that could be another massive game coming up. And then, of course, they play Florida down there in Jacksonville. And then they go on the road against Ole Miss, at home against Tennessee. And then they finish out the season with Massachusetts. And Georgia Tech's no pushover this year either. So, I mean, if you look at Alabama, Texas, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, that is 5 teams ranked inside the top 6 in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah. And, I mean, think about Alabama. When's the last time they have not been favored at home like this? I mean, I'm not a betting man, but, man, I mean.
It's been a while.
I mean, I would maybe throw $1 or $2 on that Bama underdog deal. I mean, at home against Georgia.
I think Alabama wins outright in this one. I think it's a great football game. I think so. It's close, but I don't know. And I'm not throwing any shade at Georgia. You've got 2 great football teams. Both have returning quarterbacks. I think the difference in this game for me is just the ability that Jalen Milroe, they're going to have to put a spy on him. That's going to potentially open up more space on the field because you're pulling a backer, or they might put the nickel back on him as well. You're pulling that person off the coverage just to account for Milroe. But I mean, Carson Beck, he's been in big games before. This is no thing. Obviously, Jalen Milroe has as well, but just a huge matchup in Tuscaloosa coming up under the lights in a couple days, which I'm very, very much looking forward to that one. That is for sure. However, you were talking about those Texas Longhorns. I believe Arch Manning is still getting the start today, or tomorrow, excuse me, I should say, as Quinn Ewers is still out. But Texas is scheduled, current number 1 team in the country. Obviously, they're 4-0, but really, other than Michigan, which they did very well against, Michigan beat USC last weekend, they are playing Mississippi State tomorrow, or today's Friday. Mississippi State tomorrow at home. They should be able to roll over them. Then the Red River rivalry versus Oklahoma. I believe that's played in Jerry's World. And then they go against Georgia, but at home. Then they go at Vandy, home against Florida, at Arkansas, home against Kentucky, and then finish the season against Texas A&M. In my opinion, if Georgia gets past, or if Texas gets past Georgia, I don't think anything's stopping them from going undefeated. Their schedule, their first SEC schedule, is certainly an easy one with the current affair of the SEC. So we'll see what happens in that. But yeah, I mean, it's getting exciting. We've got not in a couple weeks, and we've talked about this one before, but 2 straight weekends in October. On October 12th, this was we talked about the wedding day, right? So this is the most common wedding day in the fall, which is October 12th. You've got Texas and Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. You got Ohio State and Oregon, Ole Miss and LSU, and Penn State USC all in one day. And then the next weekend, you've got Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, Miami and Louisville, Michigan and Illinois, and Oklahoma State and BYU. I know what I'm doing October 19th.
Well, yeah. Instead of saying I do, I'd say I don't. And I'd be watching football.
Or just, get you a big old screen and, you'll say your vows, but you'll be a little distracted. Right. Make it. Or just, have an early morning wedding,
You could.
Nobody's doing the 7 a.m. weddings anymore. Let's bring it back.
Yeah.
I don't know if it ever existed, but hey, they can prep the night before, get everything set up. You have your wedding. Boom. You have the reception afterwards. It rolls right into a watch party.
Hey, I
just solved the problem.
Yeah, we've become a big mimosa and brunch kind of society. Why not, right?
Nothing says America like having champagne in the morning.
There you go.
Oh, man, good stuff. But yeah, those 2 weekends are going to be off the chain. I did get a text, a little betting inside information. The Fighting Illini are plus 17.5 against Penn State. Illinois just came off a gritty victory over Nebraska, and I like that one too. That maybe throw some cash money on the Illini to cover that spread. Heck, they may even win straight up.
Yeah.
But let me see, top 25. Let me see what it is on. It's probably on Hard Rock, I'm guessing, because it's from somebody here locally there. That is Illinois and Penn State. Yeah, 17.5. I don't know what they know, but that seems like a lot. Penn State's obviously played well. They really haven't played anybody too crazy yet. But, hey, that's another big matchup. The Big Ten, the Fighting Illini, making some waves. Nebraska losing that one last week. A little surprising there, but I don't know. Seems like a good one. Yeah, the on Hard Rock, the Georgia-Alabama game, it's just a pick 'em. There's not even a spread.
Oh, really?
Not even a spread.
Yeah.
You can go either way, 110. Over under 49.5. What would you do over-under-wise in that game?
I don't know. I mean, two big defenses. I would go under.
Go under.
Yeah. It's big games.
Those games more often are lower scoring than higher scoring, unless you're talking about in the playoff games,
right,
or SEC championship. Sometimes those got a little high scoring.
I mean, I visualize like a 10-6 halftime score. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah,
that's probably fair. Or they just blow it wide open and there's no defense.
Yeah,
and they're just going all over the place. Either way, it's going to be a great football game coming up on the college side of things. Trying to see if any other good close betting matchups. Ohio State minus 23.5 over Michigan State. That's an interesting one. That's for sure. Texas minus 37.5 over Mississippi State.
Ooh.
That is big.
Yeah.
That's wild, actually. Oklahoma-Auburn on Hard Rock is just a pick 'em. I want to bet Oklahoma, but this will be the week that Auburn surprises everybody. So I'm probably just going to stay away from that one. Randy's Louisville Cardinals are a 7-point dog over Notre Dame. I would probably take Louisville +7 all day long. I may take Louisville +7 and throw the Illini in there +17.5 and see if we can have some fun. You know, it looks good now. You got
to make it a 3-leg parlay, Ryan. You got to.
Because we stand on 2, 3 we can't. So
can't do 2.
But the third leg is certainly what makes it makes that payout go way up. But it's a lot easier to hit 2s than it is 3s.
Yeah, that's true.
I always bet two 2s.
You could.
Yeah. There you go. But hey, those are some good looking lines this weekend coming up in the college football side of things. Jay Henley, I got a fun one for you. This is a little kind of a motivational story for the Utes out there, right? Jeremiah Smith, who is a wide receiver for the Ohio State University, when he was 7, he was cut by the Miami Garden Vikings youth football team there. He was cut when he was 17 years old. He kept grinding, kept getting better. He ended up going to the Miami Gardens Ravens, then played for Montsegur Pace High School, then went to Chaminade Madonna College, and then eventually made his way to Ohio State University.
Wow. And who is this again?
It's a wide receiver from the Ohio State University, Jeremiah Smith.
Interesting.
So, hey, what's the moral of that story?
Hey, keep going. Keep fighting. Keep grinding.
Grind. No doubt.
How about, with all this rain this past week, I've been able to kind of read a little bit. I'd like to read sometimes. But how about Dale Murphy? You remember Dale Murphy who played for the Braves, right?
Yeah, of course.
He started out as a catcher. They were like, yeah, you're not a great catcher. And then they moved him to first base. And he's like, all right, well, he's okay at first base, and then he ends up in the outfield, and he ends up getting Gold Glove awards. Hey. I mean, it's nuts. It's crazy.
You may always keep your mind open, to criticism, you may think one thing, but you may be a little bit better at something else, and you
might be in the right game, but are you in the right position?
Ooh, good stuff, Jay. T-shirt. T-shirt. I really regret from starting this show not writing down all of the T-shirt ideas. It wouldn't be that hard.
It would not.
No, I just have to keep a Word document open and just write it down.
That's right.
So you know what? I'm going to start that right now. So,
Friday, September 27th, 2024.
I need you to run that one back for me.
Friday, September. You may be in the right game.
Be in the right game.
But are you?
But not in the right position.
Not in the right position.
I like it.
Things that make you go,
Things that should go on a T-shirt.
That's right.
All right. I've officially started the T-shirt doc. So we are ready to rock and roll for all of your other great sayings.
Well, it's like Forrest Gump, the thing that, the bad word and then happens, crap happens.
Yeah.
I mean, Forrest Gump was riding along, running along.
Happens.
Yeah. And there you go.
And the guy, he was trying to make T-shirts. He wasn't doing good. He said that. Boom. Bumper stickers galore.
That's right.
Because you know what? It does happen. It's not a matter of if, it's when.
Right.
And how you react to that is certainly one of those ones.
Happens once a day for a few folks, maybe a few days for others.
Yeah.
But,
you never know. It's what you make of it.
That's right.
It's what you make of it. All right, good stuff there. Good stuff. Got the T-shirt doc started. I got another.
I got a feeling there's more coming.
Well,
not from us, from others.
Well, I hope so. But you've had so many that have been so good, and I do regret not keeping track of them. Because it's very difficult to go back and find, obviously, combing through 2 hours every day of information that you didn't mark down.
Yeah.
Here's a fantasy fun fact for you. And it may have changed. I don't think it's changed yet because there's only been one game played. But Brandon Aubrey for the Dallas Cowboys, he's their kicker. He has more fantasy points than Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Marvin Harrison Jr., Bijan Robinson, Devontae Adams, Patrick Mahomes, C.J. Stroud, CeeDee Lamb may have more now, and Tyreek Hill. And you know who Brandon Aubrey is, right?
I don't.
He's the kicker for the Dallas Cowboys.
That's like punter or kicker?
No, kicker. Yeah, you don't get any points for being a punter.
I got you.
Maybe you should. I don't know. But speaking of fantasy, we got you covered on your weekly fantasy leagues. But coming up in the next segment, we'll have your daily fantasy action, normally on a Wednesday, but today we're going to do it on our Friday, and that's our good friend Keith Fleming. You're listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
I didn't think I'd like it. I like it. Wildcat, the guy in it, the main guy, is so much like you.
Yeah, he is a good actor.
He made the movie.
Well, that's the way he is. He just played himself.
Glenn can be that one. I've seen Glenn act different ways.
I've been cleared all those charges. Right.
Glenn, I will say this. Glenn looks good in a dress.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Friday. Sunny this afternoon and evening with a wind out of the west-southwest at 18 miles per hour and the high of 82. Tonight, look for a gentle breeze and clear skies with a temperature near 75. Tomorrow, a high around 85 and mostly sunshine. Sunday, very warm with a high of 85 and sunshine. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Life can take us so many places. And at Panama City Toyota, we're here to make sure every drive is worth every minute.
Maybe you want a fun, fuel-efficient car for everyday driving. Or you need a dependable vehicle that really gets the job done. Sometimes it's all about answering the call of the wild. And when you're ready to shop, reserve your vehicle online and choose your options. Or we'll help you in person, even if you started the process at home.
Whatever works for you, always works for us.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Did you know that fees associated with real estate closings are virtually the same from one title company to the next? So what sets South Oak Title apart? Effective communication, customer service, expertise, and technology. If you're buying or selling real estate, refinancing a residential or commercial property, tell your realtor you want to close with South Oak Title. South Oak Title, with locations across the Southeast, including Panama City Beach, Inlet Beach, Destin, and Fort Walton Beach. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
And now, the afternoon delight debrief with the three degenerates from the Inside Drive. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios.
Afternoon delight.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City Beach, 101.9 in Port St. Joe, along the beautiful Forgotten Coast. All of our social channels, all you got to do is search it up, ESPN Northwest Florida. That is Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We are also on the X machine as well, just not live on there, but you can find some other information there. Of course, you can head over to ESPNPC.com. Scroll down till you see that beautiful TV logo. You click on that. That is KHS TV. $40 a month. Literally every single sporting thing show that you would ever want to watch all right there. Cut the cord, be done. Sign up for KHS TV. Again, $40 a month. And I know from the TVs in here, it is a great service, and it literally does have everything that you could possibly want. So go to ESPNPC.com to check that out. You can download our free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store. That one, you just got to search 104.3. It'll pop up. Download it. You open up that app. It streams ESPN Northwest Florida live for you, as we are your home for the Auburn Tigers, Mosley Dolphins, and hopefully for more than just 4 more days, your Atlanta Braves. And of course, we got to thank our studio sponsor. That's Bill Kramer GM and Kramer Marine and Outdoor, right there at the corner of Frankfort and 23rd Street. The 25s are coming in. The 24s need to go out. Plus, lots of other good used inventory, certified inventory there at Bill Kramer GM. Trade value is still super high. And if you're looking to get that write-off, Jay, how many pounds does it have to be over if you own your own business?
6,000.
6,000 pounds, 3 tons or more. And you get yourself a 90% deduction in the first year. So Bill Kramer GM can help you find that vehicle. And again, if you own your own business, that's a huge thing that you can take advantage of. And of course, also on the boat side, you got Kramer Marine and Outdoor. It's a beautiful day out there now. The storm has passed again. Thoughts and prayers for everybody to our east and northeast. But if you're ready to get back on the water and your boat is not working, Kramer Marine and Outdoor will come to you with their great mobile services. They have a Yamaha Master Certified Mechanics on staff. If you're looking for a new boat, they sell the family of Seabourn, Spider, Sundance, and Skeeter. I was hoping you would remember how to say Skeeter there, Jay. You did a great job. You can check out all that new and used inventory at KramerMarineandOutdoor.com. Remember, that is at the corner of Frankfort and 23rd Street. We had Joe Bond on earlier to give you all your weekly fantasy action for your leagues, but we didn't have him on Wednesday, but we got him today, and that is our good friend Keith Fleming to give you all your daily fantasy action and make some money. I know I'm finally starting to listen to Keith just a little bit more, and it's starting to pay off. And I mean, I listen to him a lot, but I feel like now it's really compounding, and my mindset has certainly changed. But Keith, hope you're doing well up there. I know the storm traveled all the way up through Valdosta, through Atlanta, and did a lot of damage, and I hope you're doing okay.
Yeah, we're doing good. We were very lucky. Kind of shocked that we did not lose power, because we seem to lose power every time there is even a significant storm. And the rain and stuff has moved through, still some high winds, but it was pretty scary last night around 2, 3 a.m. I got up to go to the restroom, and I was like, I need to go back to bed because this is freaking me out. So.
Yes, definitely. I mean, again, it's one of those things we were talking about at the beginning of the show. I mean, the coast, not that we're equipped for it, but I guess, quote unquote, we're used to it. But that far inland is not something. And these late September, early October storms are the ones you really got to pay attention to. But glad you've got power. Glad you're doing okay. Again, thoughts and prayers to everybody that's been affected by Hurricane Helene. And hopefully they can get back on track ASAP. But hey, Keith, it's been an interesting NFL season so far. Just a mere 3 weeks into it. Week 4 started yesterday. Injuries have been prevalent. Names that people didn't think of are coming to the spotlight. And here we are going into week 4. I'm excited to hear your official lineup and some of your thoughts in this week coming up.
Absolutely. I don't know if I'll ever again actually be able to give 3 guys like I did last week in my official lineup, where I recommended Andy Dalton at QB, Deontay Johnson and Jawan Jennings at wide receivers. That was a good week.
That's a testament to how wild this season has been so far. If you said before the season started that Andy Dalton was going to be getting huge numbers, Jawan Jennings was going to be getting huge numbers, and then, of course, Anderson as well. I mean, I think people have been like, what? But that's what happens, as there are no guarantees and a lot of parity in the NFL, which makes it interesting and fun.
Yeah, and that's why I love DFS, is let's say you've had an awful start to your fantasy season, like me and the ESPN Northwest Florida Champions League. You can win money in DFS week to week. You can have whatever players you want week to week in your lineups, and it's just there's not so much finality in it like there is in these season longs, but we're going to try to, again, have a really good lineup this week. Let's start with the QB and the most popular guy at the dance right now, Jaden Daniels, 6,500 at Arizona. He's averaging over 23 points per game on DraftKings. What I love is, I keep talking about this, these rushing QBs in DFS I think are a cheat code. You get 3 points, and I mean any fantasy football person knows this. You get 3 points 3 times as many points for their rushing as you do their passing. He scored 35 points just on the ground through 3 weeks with at least 10 rush attempts in every game. He's increased his passing total each week. Last week, completing 91% of his passes. Averaging over 11 yards per attempt, so it's not like he was just dinking and dunking out there. He's actually pushing the ball down the field.
Sounds like
pickleball. Exactly, it is. And 13 straight offensive possessions for the Commanders have ended in points. 17 of 19, if you're not including kneel downs. This kid's incredible. Arizona's defense, I still don't believe in, so I'm going to go with him at QB.
Jay, who picked the Commanders to win the NFC East this year in our pick'em?
I don't know. You did.
I did. It's that time. Hey, every 5 or 6 years they sneak that division out. We're about in that trend.
When you called that, I was like, man, that's a good point. It's kind of like the NFC South where every year it changes.
They got a long way to go, of course. But
they do, but they look really good. If they can keep Daniels healthy, their defense needs to get a little bit better. But, just good for Washington fans. Yep. I know they're happy. Saquon Barkley, $8K. I normally don't spend like this at running back. He's the most expensive guy on the slate, but he is single-handedly winning games on the offensive side of the ball for Philly. He's got 350 yards on the ground for the season at over 5.5 yards per carry. He's catching passes with 10 receptions through 3 games. The game-winning 65-yard touchdown run last week, perfect summation for the season for Barkley. There were 7 defenders in the box. The expected rush yards on that play was 3. And he took it 65 yards to the house. And, that's really all you need to know about Barkley. Tampa Bay is 30th versus running backs on DK, so I'm going to ride the hot train there. I'm going with a revenge story for my other running back, Aaron Jones, 6,400 at Green Bay.
Revenge game.
Enters this week, 242 yards on the ground. Another guy averaging almost 5.5 yards per carry. Very heavily involved in the Vikings passing game with 12 receptions through 3 games as well. He finished last season, and people forget this because he was injured most of the season last year, but he was on a heater down the stretch. The last 5 games, including 2 playoff games, 584 yards on the ground, 69 yards receiving, and he's picked up right where he left off last year. This season, this Packers team has had some issues with running back. Both Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley had huge DFS days versus the Packers run D. Barkley, 132 total yards, 3 touchdowns. Taylor had 135 yards on just 14 touches. I particularly like this play if Malik Willis is the quarterback because I think the Vikings are not going to ask Sam Darnold to do too much in that situation with how good their defense is playing. And they're going to lean on Aaron Jones, who he wants to get some revenge on the Packers for kind of letting him walk. The wide receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr., 7,500. Man, did we overreact after week 1? Since then, he's seen 19 targets, caught 9 passes for 194 yards, 3 touchdowns. Trey McBride is officially out, so Harrison's target share this week is probably going to be absurd. This Washington secondary, as good as the offense has been, the defense has been just as bad. Yeah. Last year, they allowed the most passing yards and passing touchdowns in the NFL. They're at it again. They're giving up the most passing touchdowns in the NFL this year. The most passing yards as well. And number ones have just been killing this defense. Mike Evans, Malik Neighbors, and Jamar Chase combined for 21 receptions, 307 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And you might say, Keith, those are 3 of the best wide receivers in the league. That's very fair. But what those guys combined for over their 6 games for weeks 2 and 3, only 8 more receptions, actually 27 less yards and 3 less touchdowns. That is how bad this Washington secondary is. Again, I really like Harrison this week a lot. Calvin Austin, 3,300 at Indy, Pittsburgh Steeler. He is a freak athlete, elite speed. His usage has gone up each week, running routes on about 60% of the Steelers' plays. Last week, 5 targets, 4 receptions, 93 yards and a score. But this is really easy. The Colts run zone at over 80% of the time. It's the second highest rate in the NFL. Austin's target rate versus zone is 20%. That's only 0.04% less than George Pickens, their number 1 receiver. He runs 3 yards per route run versus zone on the season, and he's facing a Colts team that has allowed a league-leading 3 receptions of 40 yards or more to opposing wide receivers for a guy that is just an absolute burner. I love Calvin Austin, and by putting him in the lineup at 3,300 allows me to have a lot of other expensive plays in it. Deontay Johnson going back to the well, 5,600 versus Cincy. He is the perfect QB, Dalton is, for Deontay Johnson, especially with how good the Panthers' offensive line has looked through 4 games. The Bengals run man defense at one of the higher rates in the NFL. Johnson has a 41% target rate this season versus man defense. So I think that he's going to have another big game this week. Tight end. Boy, has tight end just been
We were talking
so
about that with
disappointing.
Joe. It's just been a wild year for the tight ends. Just the usage. I mean, like, if you look at Mark Andrews and Kelsey, and, you know, 1 week's good, and now the injuries are just piling up for the tight ends,
Yep.
and including your boy that's been very successful so far this year, McBride, now going out.
Yeah, and so what I'm doing in DFS, I started this last week. I'm going to go back to the old school formula, but I'm going to go really cheap because none of these guys are putting up big points,
100%.
so don't spend on the position.
Yeah.
Eric All Jr., one of my favorite players in this draft from Iowa, 2,500 for the Cincy Bengals at Carolina. He leads all tight ends and targets per route run, seeing a target on over 30% of the routes that he runs the last 2 games. Now, granted, I don't think he's very good at blocking, and that's why he's not on the field a lot, but Cincinnati is proving they know what they have in him as a pass catcher, and therefore, you know, they're throwing him the ball. Carolina is 30th in points allowed to tight ends on DraftKings, and Eric Hall has finished top 20 both of the last 2 weeks on DraftKings and tight end scoring, despite running 15 routes or less. So I think that that's a really good value, and if he scores a touchdown, it's such a boom play. The flex, Nico Collins, 7,300 versus Jacksonville. Collins is just having his monster breakout season. He's a true alpha at the position. 28 targets, at least 8 in each. 18 receptions for 338 yards and a touchdown. It looks like Tank Dell will not play. Same for Joe Mixon. And the Jags run man at the highest rate in the league, and it's by a lot. Like the Jacksonville Jaguars run it over 50% of the time. Collins averages over the last 2 years over 4 yards per route run versus man defenses the last 2 years. That is a very significant stat, and you may say, Keith, well, maybe Jacksonville will mix up their defense. They played Buffalo, we saw on Monday night. Josh Allen over the last 3 years, 42 touchdowns to 4 interceptions versus man. He's not nearly as good versus zone. What do? They run man almost the entire game like they have all season, and Josh Allen just cooked them. So I love Nico Collins this week at 7,300. And then the defense at the end, the Minnesota Vikings, 2,900. Whether Love plays or not, I love, and pardon the pun, the Vikings at Green Bay this week. This defense played the 49ers and the Texans the last 2 weeks. They only allowed 24 combined points with 11 sacks and 4 forced turnovers. They've had at least 5 sacks and 2 forced turnovers in all 3 games this season, and they may be facing Malik Willis. And I know Malik Willis has been great the last 2 weeks. Brian Flores is the best defensive play caller in the league. I think he's seen some things over the game tape that Willis has put out the last 2 weeks. And I think the Vikings D is going to thrive in an upset as Minnesota beats Green Bay and goes to 4-0 and kind of takes control of that division.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Flores' blitz rate is one of the highest in the leagues, and they're going to. That's what they've been so successful with in their 3-game winning streak is they're putting the pressure on the quarterbacks, and some of them, I mean, they basically handcuffed C.J. Stroud. Brock overcame a little bit, and I think they scored 17 points. But if they blitz Malik Willis and he's got to get out of his marks and be on the run a little more, and they can make sure he's not running, I just don't see, even if Jordan Love starts.
Or Gimpy Jordan Love.
Yeah.
That's my point. It's like, why would the Packers put him back out?
You can't start
in
him this week.
situation?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
No doubt. I love Minnesota this week over Green Bay, not because they're 3-0, but because of the reasons we just talked about.
Absolutely. So that is my official DK lineup this week. I actually feel really good about it because I'm getting some of the most expensive guys and high-owned guys on the slate, but by having Eric Hall and Calvin Austin in the lineup, who, again, I really like those guys this week, it allows me to do that, and I know this lineup will not be owned by a lot of people.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's the name of the game is finding those lineups. I mean, I'm preaching the choir, but finding those lineups that are different and not the usage or the percentage picked is certainly different, and that makes a big opportunity to make that happen. So, but yeah, I think you had a little more information too that you might want to talk about.
Yeah, just that I do think that there is people sleeping on the Bengals. They're 0-3 teams to make the playoffs since 1980 or 95. The Houston Texans in 2018, the Buffalo Bills in 1998, and the Detroit Lions in 1995, led by Barry Sanders. Now, granted, the Bengals, they screwed up by losing that Pats game. There's no doubt about that. But this is a team that 2 of the 3 teams to make the playoffs since we've gone to 17 games, 3 years ago, were the Bengals, led by Joe Burrow. So they've gotten off to bad starts before and figured it out. They have games remaining versus the Giants, the Raiders, the Titans, the Broncos, and then obviously a must-win this week versus the Panthers. There are other games. They play everybody in the division, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers twice, which that's a tough division. But let's say they go 5-0 in those games versus the Panthers, Giants, Raiders, Titans, and Broncos. They're 5-3 then, right?
Yeah.
They split the 6 games in their division. Now all of a sudden they're 8-6. The remaining games are against the Eagles, Chargers, and Cowboys. None of those teams look elite. Herbert's banged up. The Eagles are just a mess. They're the luckiest team in the league to be 2-1.
Yeah, and their secondary
and the Cowboys,
is a disaster.
I mean, they proved again last night their defense got real issues, and Michael Parsons now banged up. So I do think the Bengals have a legit chance to make the playoffs. They're plus 145 right now on DK Sportsbook to make the playoffs. If you want to go exact bets, plus 475 to lose in the divisional round means they make the playoffs and then either win in the wild card round or automatically be in the divisional round, get a bye, and then lose in that round. You got them going to the AFC title game and losing. That's 10-1. I don't think they have any chance to win the AFC. But with the way their offense is playing right now, with T. Higgins coming back, Joe Burrow looks amazing. I think they'll figure out the defensive side. Just don't sleep on this Bengals team because the Titans and the Jags, no offense, they're done. They're 0-3. I see no scenario where they come back and make the playoffs. The Bengals, I think all you got to do is get to 9-10 wins. I still think they can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they have it's the defense. They got to figure out the defense side of things, but they've got the weapons on offense regardless of, I mean, Zach Moss is still a good running back. Joe Burrow still, despite the record, had a fantastic game last week with everybody coming back. But the Jags and the Titans certainly in a deep hole, and I just don't think they have the talent on the football field yet.
Or the coaching, which is the other issue.
Coaching's a huge thing. But I mean, hey, that 2021 class of quarterbacks, they've been paid some money, but they have not really made anything happen. The only one still, quote unquote, playing decent football and leading his new team is Justin Fields. But
and he doesn't have a contract, ironically.
Exactly. The one that's and maybe that, and I think that's where we're going to see a little bit of a shift in how these young quarterbacks, especially top first round draft picks, are getting utilized and getting paid. Because if this year is not an example of that as well, I don't know what is. But there's really only a handful of guys in the last 5 years that are elite and playing well, and still some of them are very, very young in their careers, second year, and a lot could change. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and these teams should wait. I mean, I don't know why they feel like they have to play these guys.
Yep.
Because for every Jayden Daniels and, for every C.J. Stroud, there's 7-8 other examples of guys who I think they become gun-shy. Like, I think that's what happened to Bryce.
Yeah.
Is he got so beat up last year that even with a better offensive line this year, he's just gun-shy. Like, he's afraid to release the ball. It's almost like he's expecting pressure. And I'm assuming, that's the way it's kind of like, bull riders, right? Like, once you're afraid to get thrown off the bull, you're done.
Yeah.
And I think that's, in a lot of ways, what happens to these QBs. And if you look at Jordan Love, the Packers waited, and he's looked like one of the best young QBs in the league. So I'm surprised not more teams are adapting to that kind of thought process. The Pats are doing that with Drake May, which I totally approve.
And the Packers have made a living off of that. I mean, they did it with Brett Favre. He sat for a while. They did it with Aaron Rodgers. He sat behind Favre. And they did it with Jordan Love. He sat behind Rodgers. And guess what? All those quarterbacks are getting going on their good careers.
8 seconds is a long time, Keith.
Yes, it is, dude. Oh, my God. You couldn't pay me to do that. That and, getting in an octagon to fight somebody. Like, all, those people are nuts, man.
You got to. And like you said, you can't have an ounce of fear.
No.
Because fear will take over. And you can't do that kind of stuff if you're afraid.
That's right.
Keith, we ran out of time. Appreciate you. We adjusted a little bit. Looking forward to get you back on your normal segment on Wednesday. Again, stay safe. Hopefully everything works out. Streets can get a little unclogged and enjoy some football this weekend. I know you want to give a big go Dogs, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Actually, I just want to wish a happy birthday to my man Liam. His birthday was yesterday. I hope he had a great day. And, of course, go Dogs.
There you go. There you go. That's Keith Fleming. You can follow him on X at Keith Fleming, 2 M's. You guys listen to The Inside Drive. When we get back, we'll have Aaron Bearden from Instant Replay Sports Cars. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd.
I had said 2 years ago I thought Shohei Ohtani was better than Babe Ruth, and I got pushback. I admit I was wrong. He's significantly better than Babe Ruth. He is the first six-tool player. I would like to remind you again, this is a rehab season.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays, ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Friday afternoon. The rest of the day, sunshine and 82 with a strong breeze at 21 miles per hour out of the west-southwest. For tonight, mostly clear skies with a moderate breeze and a low near 76. Tomorrow, will wind 10 to 15 miles per hour, mostly sunny and a high around 85. For Sunday, mostly sunshine and a high of 85. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Dat Cajun Place is your LSU and Saints football headquarters. Saints and LSU fans, wear your team colors and score a free Jell-O shot when your team scores a touchdown. Only at Dat Cajun Place. Get $5 pitchers on select draft beers during all live football games. Catch all the games at once with the NFL package on 27 large TVs at Dat Cajun Place. And the best wings on the beach. The locals' favorite, Dat Cajun Place.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us at the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
We're starting fresh.
Fresh when you start.
Locally sourced, Farm to Radio. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is live and local. From the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to The Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Just a reminder, at the end of this segment, it is the last time for us to play the race to Talladega. If you text the Coach James Hale show this morning, I don't know if we had the Coach James. Okay, no Coach James Hale show this morning. But hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get you to call in, and whoever calls in, your qualifying time will get you in there. Hopefully, we'll make that happen at the end of this segment. A little different this week. It's, with everything going on, a storm, all that stuff. We've been a little different, but here we are, the same as we always are, Fridays at 12:20, and that is our good friend down there from Instant Replay Sports Cards in the Stanford Station Shopping Plaza, Aaron Bearden. Aaron, how are you doing on this Friday?
Hey, man, I am excellent. How about you guys? Everybody doing all right?
Yeah, we're doing good. Obviously, very thankful that Helene went to the east, but obviously thoughts and prayers for everyone who was in the path all the way up through the Atlanta area, as she was not very nice going all the way up there. But hey, it's got to pay attention in the late September, early October, as things are really ramping up out there. No doubt about that. Speaking of ramping up, what's going on? Any new releases that have happened over the last week?
Yeah, been a lot of big stuff. Today is the Topps 5-star baseball release, which is always kind of a top-tier product. Not a lot of cards in it. Just the, as they say, all killer, no filler, right?
There you go.
Yeah, so they're putting out some really good stuff like that this time of year. They kind of, like with baseball, they sort of get the base sets, Top Series 1, and some Big League and things like that out early in the year. And kind of right now, it's just the goods.
Yeah, absolutely. And Liam's birthday was yesterday. I swung by the store earlier this week and got him a couple boxes, and I was really impressed with the. We got him a Topps 2023 composite, and just some really, really cool looking cards from that particular box. It was a neat one.
Oh yeah, the Topps football product.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
First thing they put out in about 9 years.
Yeah.
For football, kind of a mix of legends and kind of a curated, hand-picked list of rookies on there.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's very similar for those of you who collect, if you haven't seen the product. It's very reminiscent of Panini's Chronicles product, where they sort of take all the brands they mix and throw them in a blender, and you get a little bit of everything.
That's what was. I mean, you had some old school looking cards. You had some really crazy new looking cards. Just a cool and a pretty affordable product as well. Certainly a good one there. He also we picked up the new because 2024 we're starting to see the rookies now in actual NFL uniforms, and talk about bang for your buck. The 2024 Panini Score box there was pretty spectacular, and he was excited. He got a big low numbered Fred Warner card and several other autos. But man, you get 40 cards per pack, and there's 10 packs in that box. If you're looking for bang for your buck and an opportunity to get some great hits, that is a wonderful product there, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of cool, fun, colorful kind of inserts and stuff like that in it. And, you do sometimes see some really nice autos come out of Score.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, it's always a good one. Like I say, it's pretty much now the first thing to come out with with the pro uniforms for the rookies. The pro logos.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you kind of wait, and obviously they have to be in uniform and training camp, preseason, and playing games really before you can start seeing the rookies in their NFL. And there was just a ton of rookies. I mean, a lot of base rookies, but some potential rookies that could go off to have monster careers. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. in there, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, a lot of big time guys in there. And it's just again, if you're looking either to get into it, if you're looking to continue what you're doing, I mean, you've got everything from I'll use a golf term, a beginner to an advanced when it comes to the card collecting and the hobby boxes down there at Instant Replay.
Those golf exclusive terms, I'm going to write those down. The beginner, seriously, and yes, for anybody, whether you've collected before, you just heard about it. We had some kids in this morning who were just kind of getting into it. Their friends were into collecting, and then they wanted to come check it out. So, everything to get you started, all the collecting supplies, things to store your cards, because certainly if you don't take care of them, it's not a great investment down the road. You look back at these cool cards you got, and it's like, oh, they're banged up, beat up because I kept them in my pocket or something like that.
That's the thing.
You definitely don't want to do that.
Got to go quick. As soon as you open it and it's a hit, it's got to go in a sleeve or a top loader and protect that thing real quick. There's no doubt about that. And a couple things that I've stumbled across, Aaron. I always like to or just discuss with you some of these crazy things. But we talked about it. I think last Friday he hadn't hit the 50-50 yet. I think he did it that afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. But since he's made the 50-50, which is now the 51-51, I haven't paid attention since then. But his 2018 Topps Chrome Sapphire Rookie Superfractor Auto was sold at auction for $336,000, making it the most expensive public sale for a card featuring the two-time American League MVP, who very well may become the National League MVP at the end of this year. Just thought, I'm sure you saw that, but always love to discuss some of these crazy numbers for some of these things. And that was a card I'm sure that at one point was in circulation that any of us could have purchased. Is that correct?
It sounds like it was in Topps Sapphire.
Yep.
If so, Sapphire traditionally has only been sold on Topps website. I think just in the past year they've started making it available to hobby shops. We had Sapphire this past year, and we'll continue to carry it. But in general, yes, anybody could have purchased that box and found that card. And there are other Ohtani cards that could surpass that pretty easily if they ever hit the market. A lot of them were purchased previously by people who had, maybe some faith in Ohtani or willing to take a chance, and maybe they're just sitting on those cards for a little while longer to get even more out of them.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I mean,
yeah,
he's Shohei Ohtani's don't come around very often. That's for darn sure, and he keeps getting better and better.
No.
If you finance
what's interesting about this, because I love the stats side of baseball. That's what really appeals to me in a lot of ways about the game. If you start looking at wins above replacement, comprehensive stat WAR, which is a lot of times what they base MVP on and things like that, the season Ohtani has had this year, if you look at all the individual seasons everybody's had throughout baseball history, we talk about like Ted Williams in 1941 or, Barry Bonds in 03 or any of that stuff. Ohtani's year this year is not even in the top 300 seasons that any offensive player's ever had.
Yeah, I mean, because he's DH, right?
Well, no, just as an offensive player, because they make such a big deal out of this 50-50 thing, or stolen bases don't account for that much.
Gotcha.
So his average, last I saw, was in the 290s. He could go on a little tear the last couple of games and be over 300. He may be at 300 right now. I haven't checked today. But just the 50 home runs by themselves, that's not pushing it that high. It's a neat achievement. We're taking two stats and putting them together and saying nobody's done those two things before. Somebody I saw, former general manager on ESPN the day after it happened, he was like, well, this proves he's the greatest ever. I'd take him over Ruth. He's way better than Babe Ruth. This season, I think, ranks, if Ohtani's season, if this was a Babe Ruth season, I think it'd be like Ruth's 13th best season he ever had.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's interesting, but it's to keep in perspective. It's a really good season. It's not Ohtani's best season. By WAR, he was about 25% better last year than this year.
Absolutely winning that AL MVP last year. Be interesting.
Yeah, well, his walks are way down this year, for one thing. There's several things like that when you start talking about, wins above replacement, what they do for the team. But, last year he just had a better season. It's just he didn't have these two particular stats to rub together.
Yeah, no doubt. And he's not pitching this year either. Hopefully he'll get back to that next year, and that'll be a whole nother aspect of what keeps making him so special. And kind of pivoting on that, and I don't know if this is a question or if it's just discussion, but we're in the country of lawsuits, and now there is a lawsuit over the rightful ownership of the 50-50 home run ball. 18-year-old Max Mattis filed a lawsuit against Golden Auctions to stop the sale of the ball. He's doing that because he claims the ball was taken as a result of civil battery. There's a video, and it looks very clear that ball was maliciously taken from him. The judge denied the injunction to stop the auction of the ball, which begins today and ends October 16th. The judge did, however, stop the final sale of the ball until at least October 10th, when an evidentiary hearing will be held. The opening bid is $500,000 with a buy-it-now price of $4.5 million. And that's, probably why the motives for the lawsuit. But that's just, we talked about this, it was either earlier this week or last week, but baseball is one of the few, if not only, sports where you have a random chance, I guess is the fairest way to put it, to have a piece of memorabilia that is part of the game without having to go outside the game to purchase it. And just some crazy stuff. So I just wanted to mention that to you guys and see if you had any thoughts on it.
Yeah, I do think it's weird. Baseball is kind of like that. You watch some of like the NBA finals and stuff. If a ball goes up into the crowd, you don't get to keep it. You got to throw that thing back to the refs.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of neat in baseball and then part of it is they can't reuse the ball.
Of course,
after it's been hit. But yeah, it's weird. We've all seen these things at a game where 8 people reach over to catch a ball. It looks like somebody's got it. Somebody else grabs it. There's a tussle. It's just usually not that the ball is potentially worth, a few $1 million.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. Something else, this happened with Albert Pujols a couple of years ago when he hit a ball that I think maybe tied Willie Mays at like 660 home runs, something like that. He hit it in Detroit. The guy who caught it thought he would get a bunch of money out of Pujols for it. And Albert Pujols' response was, you can keep it. I don't play the game to buy back items from fans. He said, if I hit it in the stands, it's yours to keep.
Yeah.
The gentleman left the game with the ball, came back the next day and decided he wanted to return it and maybe just get a photo and a handshake. And MLB would not authenticate the baseball because he left the park with it.
Ooh. So that's an interesting thing to note is
Yeah.
make sure you get it authenticated before you leave the park.
Yeah.
If it is a historical ball.
Because he could have just said, fine, if you don't want to buy it back, I'll put it on eBay. I'll go to Golden or whatever. But, yeah, he just kind of talked himself out of, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000, whatever that ball might be worth.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed
by leaving with it.
I noticed over in Oakland they were tearing down the seats out of that Oakland Coliseum out there. Have you ever had a seat of in your place at Instant?
I haven't. I've seen them cool. at places. In fact, I was in Maine last week, and I visited a shop there that did a lot of collectible stuff, and they had a couple of seats from maybe I think. Get the stadium name wrong. Is it Gillette where the Patriots play?
Yep.
Yeah. I think they had a couple of seats from Gillette that have been signed by players, or at least the backs of the seats.
Well, I can imagine like seats from the original Yankee Stadium, Candlestick Park. Some of those places are probably, because there's a lot of the stadiums have been demolished, but maybe not with the history like at the original Yankee Stadium or even Candlestick Park for that matter. But yeah, that's a
sure.
If go ahead.
Yeah, I saw one of the Athletics players that was scooping up some of the dirt for fans.
Oh, yeah, I did see that, yeah.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, they're handing in their empty water bottles. He was scooping up some of the dirt and giving it to them.
Hey, it's history. It's no longer going to be played baseball in Oakland. But
yeah, well, and the dedicated fans and the players are sort of in the same boat there. It's sort of them against the ownership. And I think the players and fans feel a kinship with each other. The players don't want to have to leave. The fans don't want to lose their team. But neither side really seems to get a say in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Money talks at the end of the day.
And I know that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I know that franchise in Oakland has been on the downcline for quite some time. But I mean, as a baseball player from the 80s and 90s, like everybody always had the Oakland Athletic starter jackets back in the day. I mean, it was a huge franchise.
It was a cool color.
Yeah,
they had superstars: Ricky Henderson, Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, Dennis Eckersley. A lot of big time guys came through that franchise in the 80s. There's no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys are still in the game. Some of those guys like Mike Gallego and stuff that are still around. They're coaching and this and that. So, I mean, it's not like this is a franchise where none of those guys are still there to be part of baseball. And, I don't know if that's going to affect or color how they want to deal with Major League Baseball but it certainly seems like, as you said, that the money talks, the commissioner and the ownership group decided they're going to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's not the first time that's happened in MLB. There was some talk with some contraction, I believe, back in the 90s, early 2000s, and it was sort of decided that the teams with the lowest attendance would be on the chopping block. And what happened was the Expos got moved to Washington against the wishes of the fans in Montreal when, I believe at the time the story was Milwaukee was drawing a lower amount of fans, but Milwaukee had been previously owned or partially owned by the current commissioner, Bud Selig, who, the perception was he didn't want to do anything to his former team. So instead it was like, well, no, I said the lowest viewed team, but how about the second lowest viewed team?
Lois has got a little immunity there.
Yeah, there's a history of that in sports, unfortunately. It's very
business,
sad for the fans in those areas. Yeah, it's a business. That bottom line is so often more important than the human element.
But isn't it weird, though, that a lot of these stadiums are moving on the outer layers of big cities? Like they're getting away from the downtown atmospheres? I mean...
Well, they kind of have to. When baseball started up in the early 20th century, and they started building these actual stadiums. Prior to that, 1890s, the early 1900s, baseball stadiums were really just fields, and a lot of them didn't have an outfield wall. They just had sort of a roped-off area, and fans would stand or sit out there, have picnics, whatever, and if the ball went that far, rolled, whatever, the outfielder just had to go run it down amongst people. When they started building real stadiums, they were mostly trying to do it where land was cheap in the cities. So they were building in your industrial areas, your downtowns and all, which weren't kind of the glamorous, high rent kind of places they are today in most cities. the other thing was cars were not as prevalent as they are today, so they didn't have to worry about parking issues like we do now. So that's a lot of these stadiums. They're not in places that are convenient in 2024 the way they were maybe in 1915 or 1920. I was at Fenway about a week ago, and it's kind of the same way. There's a lot of people have put up these private, paid parking lots and all that, but it's not the most convenient thing to access.
Yeah.
So the stadiums, they want to have control over that stuff. If you look at what they've done in Atlanta, that's great.
Yep.
That's an amazing facility up there where you've got all the shopping and the restaurants and all those things for several blocks around. The team has control over it, and it's a good, safe family environment. You don't have some of those issues that you have in some of the older stadiums, the areas they're in. So I get it, again, from a business decision. The times and the needs have changed.
Yeah, no doubt.
Wealth of knowledge from Aaron Beard.
As always.
Yes.
Aaron, we got to take a quick break, but before we do, let us know what's coming up tonight and tomorrow.
Hey, Kids Club tonight, 6 o'clock. Bring those kids down from 6 to 8. We do box breaks, very affordable. The kids trade. We learn about cards, learn about taking care of our collections. It's a lot of fun for the kids. They always get way more than what they pay for. Tomorrow, we got breaks in the shop at noon. Going to be a good time. Going to get to open a lot of product. And, hey, we're going to be posting next month's details on Rip Night and the big break as well very, very soon.
There you go. Hard to believe we are on the cusp of October already. And hopefully the Braves will still be playing baseball, but we will find out come the doubleheader Monday night. Aaron, we appreciate you as always. Look forward to talking to you next Friday.
Absolutely, and check us out at XIW Wrestling on Saturday, October 12th. We'll be there selling cards and wrestling items.
There you go.
You guys take care. Everybody be cool. Be safe.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Aaron, as always. When we get back from the break, we're going to try to get a caller for the race to Talladega. You just give us a call, and if it's quick and you beat the qualifying times that are already established, you could win yourself a pair of tickets up there at the Yellowwood 500. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for Mike Greenberg.
You want to talk about elite coaching? Kevin O'Connell, a tip of the cap. And he's not the only one. Brian Flores is a great example of how some people are not meant to be head coaches. They are meant to be elite coordinators. Sam Darnold has been reborn. This is a legit team.
Greeny. Weekdays on ESPN Northwest Florida.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore Portable Building Dealer, Panama City.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? If competitive pricing and a quick turnaround are what matter to your business, come see us at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions. Or you can give us a call at 850-326-3000. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport. The best place in town to take a leak.
From the beach to the bay to the backyard, it's the Inside Drive from the Bill Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studio.
I've got sand in my underpants.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. All right, let's do this. Give us a call, 850-215-6290. If you beat the two qualifying times we already have, you'll win yourself a pair of tickets up there to the Yellowwood 500. Talladega Super Speedway coming up on October 5th and 6th, as you also get a couple tickets to United Rentals 250. Also, all qualifiers automatically win a Rudy's Barbecue gift card and a 12-pack from Buffalo Rock. So I think we got a quick caller there. We'll go ahead, Randy, will get all your information and make that stuff happen. Who do we got out there on the line? Oh, okay. I got you. What?
No, you go. He's on the phone.
Oh, who we got?
This is Ryan Warren.
Hey, Ryan. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. We're going to add you to those qualifying times. It's been a little different than our normal one, but hey, just make sure. I'm sure Randy's got your information already, but if not, when we get off the phone with you, just go ahead and stay on the line. He'll get that info from you. But how you doing? You doing all right?
I'm doing great. On the road today, headed to Weewa, Hitchcock.
There you go. One of Jay's favorite places.
Absolutely. Ryan is such a good NASCAR name, like Ryan Newman. Do you remember Ryan Newman?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, Ryan
Blaney.
Yeah, Ryan Blaney.
There's been a lot of Ryans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ryan Mulvey.
Well, I've never
RPM.
Never been. Yeah, that is true. Those are my initials. So maybe I was meant to be a NASCAR driver. Oh, we might have lost him there. That's okay. Good friend. Hey, Ryan, give us a call back if you want to. Don't know what you want to chat about. I know I'm playing him in the Inside Drive League this week in fantasy football. So, but he was one of the unfortunates that took McCaffrey with that number 1 pick, and it hasn't paid off so well so far. All right, Jay, let's dive into. I want to get your thoughts on some of these big NFL matchups coming up. And if we get them back on the line, we'll jump on for them. Obviously, Cowboys-Giants last night. Giants kicked 5 field goals, and the Cowboys really didn't look spectacular. But hey, a win's a win right now in the NFL. And if you had the Dak and CeeDee Lamb stack, probably worked out for you. I'm in a different league on Yahoo, and fortunately I had Dak and CD, and off to a good start in that particular matchup.
Those Dallas cheerleaders, though, their game is always right on time.
Have you watched the Netflix series?
I haven't.
Well, you need to, and you'll learn a lot more about how intense and rigorous that entire process is.
I watched episode 1, and the dude that tells them to get lost, man, he doesn't play around.
No.
I mean, he's like, yeah, you're out.
They don't make hardly any money, but I think it's more the prestige of being a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader.
Right.
And you're not guaranteed year in and year out. You got to re-try out, re-qualify, whatever you want to call it each time.
Yeah.
Ryan was a big fan of that series. She enjoyed watching that one on Netflix.
Yeah.
So, but hey, it's one of those things. NFL cheerleaders really don't get paid hardly anything.
Right.
But if you're a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, that's kind of like the creme de la creme of the NFL cheerleading teams.
It's always been that way.
That's it. That's the brand that was created, and the football side of it has been good in the regular season, but just hadn't had the luck in the playoffs quite yet. But hey, it could turn around very quickly. All right, Jay, let's go through this slate. We got the Saints and the Falcons, little NFC South divisional matchup there. Saints are a 2.5-point underdog. Basically, that's the home field advantage there, but there's going to be a ton of Saints fans in Mercedes-Benz Stadium as well. Saints are 2-1, Falcons are 1-2. Who do you like in that one?
Oh, man. Saints are on a roll. I'm going to go with the Saints with the big win up at Mercedes.
Okay. Yeah. On a roll. They lost their last game, didn't put up a lot of points offensively, but hey.
Hey, a roll is a roll. 2-1.
2-1. That is a roll. It's better than 500.
That's right.
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. Obviously, the Saints kind of slowed down a little bit after their 2 big wins, week 1 and week 2. But, big divisional matchup early in the season. I know we're only in week 4, but hey, it's starting to take shape. And if you're playing a divisional matchup, you need to go ahead and make sure you win that game. But I think it's going to be a fantastic football game. And you like Derek Carr, not Captain Kirk?
I do.
All right.
How about you?
Yeah, that's a tough one. We talked about it yesterday. I think I like the Saints in this one too. Not necessarily. I just don't. I got to see more from the Falcons offensively. Obviously, they won that game last second against the Eagles when Kurt led them all the way down the field. But I need to see a little more for the Falcons from the Falcons first before I can really be confident. I've seen a lot more from the Saints, and I like the Saints in that game as well. Saints fans travel well, especially up there in the Atlanta area.
Yes, sir.
Next, you got a matchup of 1 and 2 teams in the NFC: the Rams and the the Bears. Rams coming off a last-second field goal against the San Francisco 49ers. Bears trying to find their identity. Is Caleb Williams going to be the real deal? Here he is, week 4, another opportunity. The Bears are actually favored 3 in this game. Kind of like the Rams to cover or to just kind of win this one straight up money line. But huge game for the Bears. Jay, who do you like, Rams or Bears in this one?
I don't know. I listened to Joe Bond earlier. He's talking about the defense being really bad with the Bears. No. I really like the Rams, and the Rams are getting 3 points.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
On
the road up there in Chi-Town.
Oh, that's true.
And there no Cooper Kupp, no Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
But, it didn't seem to affect them last week. Sean McVay is a cool thing. What he does with Matt Stafford, who you know him well, being a former Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah.
Sean McVay gives 2 play calls for Matt on each play. So when he gets up there, he can read, see what's going on, and he has the option to call either one of them. And he's just a vet. He's good at reading defenses, and that's something. And I think that's what really is keeping the Rams in things, is you're getting some no-name guys making some big-time plays. They still got Kyron Williams. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground against the Niners. I think the Bears' run defense really isn't that great, so I think I like you there. I think I like it too. Take the Rams. I might take the 3 points, maybe buy it up to 3.5 just in case, but yeah, I think I like the Rams with you there on that one. All right, next one, we talked about it with Keith. That is a big NFC North matchup. 2-1 Vikings. Still not sure if Jordan Love's going to play. Like Keith said, and I said, I don't think they should play him, especially if he's not 100% yet. Malik Willis still gives you a chance, but Vikings defense, offense, they're 3-0, scoring lots of points. Sam Darnold's got 8 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions thus far. Probably not arguably, hands down the best receiver in the league with Justin Jefferson, just week in and week out putting up huge numbers, and just that great receiver for Sam Darnold to hit. Packers, obviously, Malik Willis might be the starter again this week, and Aaron Jones is now on the Vikings. Revenge game a little bit, as he was on the Packers his entire career. Jay, who do you like, Vikings or Pack?
Listen to Keith earlier talking, gave us the skinny on the Vikings. He said the Vikings would go 4-0. I'm going to go with Keith Fleming. He's never led me in a wrong direction.
Never led you astray.
That's right.
Yeah, Steelers, next up on this one. Steelers, I'm with you too. Vikings all the way in that one. If they lose, I'll be surprised, but I like the Vikings, especially because they're getting 3 on the road.
Yeah. All right,
but it's a divisional matchup, so you never know. It's certainly divisional, and it's the NFL. Week in and week out, it's kind of crazy, but I think we're starting to see a little bit of trends. All right, Steelers at Colts. Steelers trying to make it 4-0. Colts 1-2. Anthony Richardson, he's got 3 touchdowns so far, but unfortunately, he's doubled that in interceptions, just not really taking care of the ball too well. Colts are a 1.5-point dog at home. You know what they say about the home dogs? A lot of times they win. But
yeah.
I don't know about this one. I think Justin Fields outplays Anthony Richardson, does enough. As long as he takes care of the ball, I think the Steelers go to 4-0 as well, and the Colts start to find themselves in a hole. But, hey, Anthony Richardson, if he can step up and have a monster game, that may be what needs to happen. So, what do you like?
You got to feed those home dogs, too, because if you don't feed them, they will go astray.
Ooh,
they'll find
that's another T-shirt as well.
There we go.
Got to feed those home dogs.
Oh, you got to feed
or
them
they'll
home
go
dogs.
astray. I like that, Jay.
Let's go with. I'm switching it up here. I had the Steelers on my matchup for this week. I am making the decision. I am moving over to the Indianapolis Colts.
Ooh.
I don't see another team going 4-0. There may be some other 3-0 teams right now. Is it the Steelers and the Vikings?
The Steelers, the Vikings, the Chiefs, the Seahawks.
Oh, there's a bunch of them.
And there's one more, too. I think there's 5, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, no, so the Steelers are going to go 3-1 after this week.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I like the Steelers going 4-0. Next, you've got the Denver Broncos playing up there against Aaron Rodgers and those New York Jets. The Jets are an 8-point favorite at home against Bo Nix. I think I like the Jets. I don't know if they're going to cover the 8.5, but I think they're going to win this football game. Bo Nix has not taken care of the football as well as he should. I think he's maybe got a touchdown pass now, but he's got a couple on the ground. Breece Hall is having a great season thus far. Aaron Rodgers seems to be finding his stride a little bit. Hasn't thrown an interception since the San Francisco 49ers game. He's got 5 touchdowns. He's got Garrett Wilson, a lot of weapons on offense, and the defense seems to be keeping them in the game pretty well. So I like the Jets, maybe not to cover the 8, but certainly to beat the Broncos. What about you?
I mean, you got Rodgers the daddy. You got Nick's kind of the son, if you will.
Nick's is a very old rookie.
But Daddy always wins, and I think Daddy wins this weekend, and the Jets beat the Broncos.
And there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Bless you, Bone Crusher, back there. Eagles, Bucks. You're welcome. Eagles, Bucks. 2-1, 2-1. Down there in Tampa. A lot of water came up in the coastal areas there, but they are ready for the game. Philly is a 2-point favorite on the road. What do you think about this one, Jay?
Ooh. Will the field be dry?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good.
Yes, it's far enough inland.
Okay, perfect. I do have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going and beating the Eagles. Let's go Tampa Bay.
Okay, I agree with you. I think although the Eagles are a favorite, those home dogs are one of those things. Several home dogs this week in the NFL, but the Bucs right the ship this week. Eagles secondary just not playing that great. Jalen Hurts really not taking care of the football. Like he said, they've been lucky to win the games that they won. They're 2-1. Jalen Hurts 3 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. I think you see a couple interceptions this week from the Bucs D, and they get the win at home with the home underdog, 2 points favorite there for the Eagles. All right, next we'll go a little bit quicker, Jay. Panthers, Bengals. Bengals are 0-3. Panthers 1-2. Who wins that game?
Oh, man, this is the week the Bengals pivot. I say the Bengals beat the Carolina Panthers by 2 touchdowns.
I agree with that. Next, Jags, Texans. I think the Texans win this game at home. The Jags just, they're in a world of hurt right now. They got to figure out some stuff.
Yep, I agree.
Texans too?
Texans all the way.
There you go. Commanders at Cardinals. I like the Commanders on the road. I think Kyler Murray's going to have a good game. He's missing Terry McBride. He's out. They are favored 3.5, but I like Jaden Daniels to continue what he did. Commanders defense plays slightly better this week. They get the win there. What do you think?
Cardinals is such a pretty bird, and I'll take a pretty bird over a dirty bird any day.
Pretty bird. Well, Commanders not a dirty bird, but the Atlanta Falcons are certainly a dirty bird.
Yeah.
All right, Niners, Patriots, biggest spread of the week, 10-point favorite at home. I like the Niners. Hopefully Kittle plays. If not, I think the run game for the Niners and Brock Purdy's efficiencies right close behind Dak Prescott for most yards so far. He's got 4 touchdowns to 1 interception that was tipped. I think the Niners roll. Do they cover? Probably. What do you think?
Book it, Dano. Let's go 49ers.
Book it, Dano. Browns, Raiders.
Let's go Browns.
Chiefs, Chargers.
Chiefs all the way.
Oh, no. Chargers are going to sneak one out there. Bills, Ravens, Sunday Night Football.
Bills.
All right. Titans, Dolphins.
Titans.
All right, go Dolphins there. And then Lions, Seahawks for the last Monday night game of the week.
Detroit.
I'm going to take the Seahawks to go 4-0 in that one. You've been listening to the Inside Drive. It's been an exciting week here with everything going on, but we'll be back hopefully for a normal week next week coming up on Monday. Y'all have a great weekend. Lots of football action here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the Race to Talladega.
Got 8 seconds.
8 seconds for Paul Ritchie, my man. Good stuff there. If you end up being the winner, he's not on the air with us, is he?
No. I got his info and everything. So, yeah, you keep listening, and maybe he'll be the winner.
Well, there you go, Paul. We do appreciate